Oh,
Oh.
that was actually really satisfying. I think I finally understand ASMR now.
Yeah.
That was really satisfying to hear.
Yeah. It's like the crisp ASMR. I don't like the chewing ASMR or like the those sorts of ones.
Yeah, those
You
are
know,
obnoxious noises, but
or
like
like the whisper
this
parties.
whispering's fine, but
Whispering
nothing beats the
ASMR.
sound of cracking open a cold one.
There are many stories told about the bond between mother and child. Dramas, tragedies, comedies. With Dumbo, Walt Disney attempted to tell one such story. Can love truly conquer every obstacle? Can those who are ostracized and oppressed learn to soar above and beyond? How are a flock of crows and a team of night laborers so astonishingly cringeworthy in their depictions? And more importantly, we ask the question, what is the breaking point of a team of artists in dire need of financial representation? Hi, my name is Nate Conrad. This is my friend, Abby Rose. In this episode, we make progress in the field of abnormal veterinary science as we begin investigating, appraising, and of course, dissecting the mouse.
Hey, hello, how are ya? I haven't been able
Oh,
to get the stupid freaking elephant fly song out of my head.
very opposite. I completely have a song locked into my brain that is going nonstop, but it's very much not that song. It's the best song in the whole show. Well, it's my favorite song in the whole show.
Which one?
We'll get to that in a little
Uh-oh.
bit.
Uh-oh. I really hope it's not the Roustabout song because
It's
that
not the
one.
Rouse.
Okay, cuz like the reason why I hate that the Elephant Fly song stuck in my head is cuz it's,
Yeah, no, we
they come from the
yeah.
same place.
It's a it's not a good if they're both the it's not a good look of
Yeah.
Dumbo.
Just
But
gonna yeah.
you know what does look good?
Um
And that's a huge lie because I can't say it looks good, but the characters. I mean, in some places the characters look good, but
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, they
yeah,
look fine.
they look fine. Yeah, that's the story of Dumbo. It looks fine.
It's fine. That's
It's
just Dumbo. It's it's fine. It's fine.
Walt Disney pitched it and he was like, "Dumbo, it's fine."
This is fine. It's fine. Literally like I was looking on the Wikipedia, and when the like producers were really unhappy that the movie was so short. It was only like 64 minutes long, and there's like a quote from Walt saying, "Look, like it's it's fine. Like you can't tack on 10 more minutes because the story will collapse. It's already been stretched to the limit."
It
And
really had.
like literally it's like a quote of him saying essentially, "It's fine. Leave it.
They were just
We've
gonna fit
done
in
what we
another.
will."
They're gonna fit in another pink elephant scene, except Dumbo does cocaine.
Yeah. Oh my
Gee, Dumbo,
gosh.
you need to really wake up. Here, let's get some baby powder on your face. Wow, what
Mm-mm.
kind of baby powder is this? Whoa!
Weirdly enough, they also get that from the clown's tent as well.
That's exactly, of course, of
Yeah, of
course.
course. Of course. But
So,
yeah, so let's just
so yeah,
Dumbo.
there's no gentle way to jump into Dumbo. Hey, Dumbo.
Hey Dumbo. Hey Jumbo Jr. I hate that like that's his name is like Dumbo. Like he like accepts the name and like makes it his because it's such a like a mean name.
It is. It really is. I look at it kind of tragically. Because keep in mind, like he's a baby.
He is literal baby the entire
He is
time.
baby.
He is baby. And even like freaking Timmy the Mouse, he calls him Dumbo, like from the start. I'm like, dude, you're helping him out. The least you could do is like call him by his name.
Maybe Timmy doesn't know his name.
Well, but isn't it like on his like thing, his like water bowl or something? I don't know. Whatever.
No, that's Mrs. Jumbo. He hangs out at Mrs. Jumbo's water bowl, missing her. And we're getting into the store. We're putting the cart in front of the horse.
We're putting the cart in front of the elephant.
Yeah, let's put the elephant out of our misery.
That was a weird...
Dark. Oh, wow, that was dark.
That was a weird line of words that you just said.
Yeah, like, one of my favorite things to say to people is, I'm gonna put you out of my misery. And I get a chance to say it too often, so I tried to shove it in there.
And it did not go very well with this already horribly, cripplingly tragic story.
Yeah. So, Abby.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell me, who are the characters in Dumbo?
Oh, we're going right into it. Okay.
We're diving in there.
Diving into Dumbo.
We're getting neck deep.
Okay, so characters. I couldn't even... Sorry, my chair is so creaky. It's the same one that I've been using since high school. Hi, guys. I'm in my old room.
Wow.
And it sucks. So, characters. I don't think I was able to get up to, like, 10 entries. There were more characters I could have talked about, but I chose not to because, hi, I'm lazy.
Hi, lazy.
And my sister just had a baby, so.
Oh yeah, congratulations! We didn't mention. Yeah,
Thanks.
because your sister just had a baby, and now we are talking about baby.
We are talking about baby, but hopefully she won't have to deal with that. I mean, I looked at her ears seemed pretty normal, like she seems pretty normal. She's ridiculously cute, but
she's cuter than the average baby.
She is. Normally
I don't find babies cute.
Normally babies, like when they just come buns fresh out of the oven, usually look like weird alien babies, or they just look straight up like Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
But like this baby, for some reason, like she looks like a Disney baby. Like she's so cute. So, yeah, we're thinking big things for her. So, okay, let's get into the characters here.
Yes.
So I try to do it as much by order of appearance as I could, but I didn't, when I was writing this up, I didn't rewatch the movie, so forgive me if the clowns come in before Timothy Q. Mouse, or the ringmaster comes in before the clowns.
It's all a big mess. You can argue that in the parade scene, every character is introduced at once.
Yeah. Oh, I completely forgot about the parade scene. Oops. Yeah, it's all Dumbo. It's Dumbo all the way down. Okay, so the first character, or group of characters, are the Storks, and specifically Mister Stork. These birds are baby delivery drivers who are responsible for getting all the baby animals to their parents safe and sound. We never see them delivering human babies, so I guess it's only for animals, which makes me wonder, does a stork deliver baby storks to other storks? Who delivers the deliverers? Who watches the watchmen? Anyway, you can't run or hide from them, so that's terrifying. So one of these storks has a cute little hat and vest because that's the only one we're supposed to care about. After all, he's the one delivering Dumbo. And he's the one voiced by Winnie the Pooh. So next we have the elephants, or as I like to call them, the
Oh!
I am so looking forward to that being squeaked out. Okay.
I don't want that to be squeaked. I don't want that to have happened. I go my life specifically trying to avoid saying a word that rhymes with hunt.
Okay. Welcome to the circus. So, a group of cruel, vapid gossips who exclude Dumbo from their group because of his ears, and later because they blame him for his mom getting put in circus jail. They each have their own little personalities, which is cool, but they never really take back their nastiness, so they can all go choke on a peanut.
And they do.
And they do. Well, I don't know if they do, because we see them waving their little trunks. Anyway, let's move on to Mrs. Jumbo.
Mrs. Gumbo.
She's a mom. That's it. That's her character. She even has the little frumpy mom hat to prove it. Gets thrown in a tiny circus jail because, sure, that's what they do with dangerous exotic animals. We've all seen Tiger King. We know what's up.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's true.
She just goes to jail.
We did all unanimously watch Tiger King at the beginning of quarantine.
You know, she just gets put in a little timeout zone, and that's it. That's what happens to her. Anyway, Jumbo Jr. or Dumbo. You're gonna like this. Let me take a drink of bubbly before I do this.
Yeah, get a little bit of the bubbly.
You've heard of Dummy Thick. We've talked about Dopey Thick. But these ears, let me finish, but these ears are Dumbo thick.
They're not even thick! They are large and thin!
Yeah. Okay.
I'm very upset with you, and I'm gonna put you in timeout. You're going to jail.
I'm going to circus jail.
You're going to circus jail, and you're gonna hang out with Mama Jumbo.
Man, okay. So, like Pinocchio, Dumbo is literal baby. We never see Dumbo talk, though, probably because, again, he is literal baby. Does nothing wrong and still gets shut out by his elephant aunts, or his elephant aunts, or...
You do it again!
No, I have a different one. I have a different pun. Elephants, if you will.
Oh, that's actually worse.
Yeah, I know, right? And the other one's a curse.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
They're both pretty cursed.
So he learns to fly at the end and becomes famous because for some reason that's the only way he'll get to see his mom again. I don't know. I don't like the symbolism there where if you're divergent from the norm, the only way you'll be accepted is by proving entertaining or otherwise useful to the general public. Even though this is a way shorter movie than the others, there's a lot more packed in here that I have literally dissected, and looked into.
We're dissecting the mouse.
We're dissecting the mouse, yeah. Speaking of the mouse, next up is Timothy Q. Mouse, a surrogate parent to Dumbo with a Yankee accent and an abundance of optimism. This was Edward Brophy's only voice acting credit because his whole acting career he was known for playing a gangster. We never really
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
That's so incredible.
It's the only
wise guy,
only VA credit, but yeah, he's known for being that. Because I've heard the name Edward Brophy before, but I just had never realized. Yeah, he's known for playing an old timey gangster. That's why he has that old timey gangster accent, is because he's the prototype for all of those stereotypes.
Oh, wise guy, yeah. We know how to take care of you downtown.
Yeah, literally. Because I was like, wow, that's a really tropey thing. You see that sort of accent at all because he literally started it.
I'm just imagining the scene where he sees Dumbo getting excluded and going, "Oh, I'll take care of this," and he walks up to an elephant and breaks their kneecap.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's why you're afraid of mice.
Yeah. It's not like mice. It's just this specific mouse.
It's just him. They're like, no, he broke Sheila's kneecap.
Okay, so we never really figured out what this mouse's deal is or why he has an adorable little coat and hat. But do we really need to? I mean, maybe there's a little mouse circus nearby. I mean, maybe he was an usher at the House of Mouse back when it was rodents only.
Oh yeah, back when it was open.
All I know is that he's fiercely protective of Dumbo, and he helps him reunite with his mom. And also profits off of him at the end, which, Jiminy Cricket.
I gotta...
Anyway, yeah, he's more genuine than Jiminy Cricket, but, like, he kind of has the same end result where he becomes Dumbo's manager.
We've got a little bit of the same hat, but you're gonna flip sideways when you see where I go with it.
Uh-oh. Flip sideways. That's gonna be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So next we do the clowns.
Oh,
Chaotic.
the clowns.
I actually didn't really have a huge thing for this, because by this time I was tired, and I'm like, I mean, they're clowns and they're cursed. Okay, so chaotic entities full of boundless energy and cheap champagne. Honestly, that's like me in college. So, Dumbo gets put in their act and spends most of the time just trying to stay alive as Pogo, Patches, Pennywise, and the others sacrifice each other's safety for a laugh and money. Ah, yes, money. Also, if those clown names sound familiar, it's because Pennywise, obviously from It, and then Pogo and Patches are both clown names that John Wayne Gacy used. Because I was trying to think of the creepiest clowns that I knew, and so Pogo,
I
the
didn't
clown,
know that John
Patches.
Wayne Gacy used Patches. I knew he used Pogo.
Yeah, because I was looking it up to make sure that Pogo was his clown name, and then I saw that he also used the name Patches. But Pogo was obviously the most popular one. Because I think Patches might have been, like, a more, I don't know, like a more kind of widely used clown name.
Yeah, that's like generic clown number 7.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Okay, so the Ringmaster.
ACAB, assigned clown at birth.
No. I'll have that on my my Tumblr bio.
Don't. Well, do, but don't.
So the Ringmaster. This bumbling buffoon spends a lot of his screen time. Oh, I forgot I wrote this. Uh-oh. Oh.
Take it from the top, babe.
You're gonna hate this. Oh, okay. I like spending our episodes just scandalizing you. Okay. The Ringmaster. This bumbling buffoon spends a lot of his screen time in search of climax. Sorry, a climax. Timmy the Rat advises him that Dumbo can give him the climax he needs, which proves untrue because Dumbo, being a baby, is not up to the task.
I'm just gonna, real quick, I fold up my pillow for a second, turn the other way.
Yes.
Okay, I'm back. I'm better.
Great.
I forgive you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Whew. All right. Moving right along. I only have one more entry left.
How many characters is that?
That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8. I'm on my 8th. So, Crow Brothers. Some, clearly not at all racially influenced birds who helped Dumbo learn to fly. Oh, sure, in early production for this movie, the lead crow was literally first name Jim, last name Crow, but it must have been a silly coincidence. There are 5 crows in all, the lead voiced by Cliff Edwards, who also did Jiminy Cricket. Another notable name is the famous composer and musician Hall Johnson, who voiced another of the crows and led the Hall Johnson Choir, which did the chorus vocals for a lot of early Disney movies.
Son of a bitch!
Crow Brothers. What?
That's so much same hat that it's literally from my production talk.
Same hat! Yay!
Same hat.
Hell yeah! Cool. Well, I that provided a very pleasant little taste, and then you can bring it up.
I can taste it coming.
So, do you want me to get into my source material?
Oh yeah, I would love, because you have so many tantalizing tidbits.
Yeah. So here is okay.
And you haven't told me anything. You've just constantly been telling me, like, in the build-up, like, ooh, I found out something weird. Ooh, I found out something terrible. Oh, you're gonna hate this. So, of course I am out of my mind bonkers about this.
Yeah. So I'm going to preface everything with content warning, major content warning, mention of animal abuse and animal cruelty. So for source material, I got a lot of my info from AM Digital's article, The Real Life Dumbo. The story of Dumbo follows the basic framework of The Ugly Duckling, or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Weirdly enough, Rudolph came out just 2 years before Dumbo the movie, and the original Dumbo book was supposedly bought by Disney the exact same year that Rudolph came out. So, like, at first I was like, oh, well, Dumbo came out after, so obviously they, ripped it off Rudolph, because it's kind of the same story. But the fact that the book was bought by Disney the exact same year that Rudolph came out is kind of indicative that it just was a weird coincidence. Anyway, in all three, a baby is born all whacked up in some way, gets ridiculed for it by the normal-looking ones, feels pretty cruddy about themselves, and then in a serendipitous twist of fate realizes that their weird thing is actually a good thing, either by doing something amazing or just doing a found family moment. Alright, so anyways, moving on. A lot of people cite the actual real-life inspiration for Dumbo is a real elephant from the 1800s named Jumbo, who was super, incredibly, insanely popular, which Jumbo being the inspiration makes sense considering the mom literally names him Jumbo Jr. in the beginning, so maybe Jumbo is supposed to be his father. So Jumbo was born in Sudan in 1860. Mommy was killed by poachers, and Jumbo was captured and sold to Lorenzo Casanova, an Italian animal dealer and explorer, which, by the way, that sounds like such a fake name. Like, hi, my name is Romeo Italiano, and I'm here to buy your elephant. Like,
wow, Lorenzo Casanova.
Lorenzo Casanova.
I've got a great new gigolo wrestling name.
I know, that's literally what it sounds like you're playing Jumanji and like video game Jumanji, and there's like a guide that you have to hire, or like an art dealer.
Yeah. And then you have to throw the girl character at him to get him to agree to be the guide.
You know what?
That's why it's Casanova.
You know what Lorenzo Casanova is? The Italian version of Joe Exotic.
Oh no! No, you mean literally?
Yep. No, like it's just sad because Lorenzo is a common name, and then Casanova is like, it's a very
not so common.
Like a very like celebrity-esque name.
Yeah, I'm certain famous even name. Then it was like, this name will make me seem like I'm a big deal.
Yeah, true. All right, so yeah, anyway, I guess it's his actual name. I don't know. So this guy buys baby Jumbo, and after the sale, Jumbo was sent to France to the Jardin des Plantes, the Jardin des Plantes, a Paris zoo, before being transferred to London Zoo in 1865. So by this time, he is 5 years old. In London, he became a monumental hit. I keep saying how popular he is, but I cannot stress to you how popular this freaking elephant was. Like, he was insanely popular. I'll get into it later, but, like, he's just, like, incredibly a big hit. So Queen Victoria's kids adored him, and he spent much of his day giving zoo visitors rides on his back. So Jumbo eventually began to show signs of aggression, thought today to be from neglect and poor living conditions. His trainer, Matthew Scott, was said to feed Jumbo whiskey and beer to keep him calm, but of course that just made things worse.
What?
Finally, the London Zoo decided to sell him to P.T. Barnum in 1882, which sparked a nationwide uproar because, like I keep saying, everyone loved this elephant, not just in London, but throughout England. There was even a huge lawsuit against the zoo because of it. The zoo tried to renege on the deal after receiving all this backlash, but by then it was too late, and so Jumbo was shipped off to the US of A.
We're just gonna gloss over the fact that he's getting an elephant sauced?
Yeah, he's feeding this elephant, basically poisoning this elephant with whiskey and beer, trying to keep him calm, and it's just making things worse because that also adds to the crappy
Stress.
conditions. And what does that sound like, by the way? What does that remind you of? The concept of this animal getting drunk.
Oh, Jesus!
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's bananas!
It's peanuts compared to what you're gonna hear next.
That's absolutely bicycles, as one of my
Yeah.
coworkers would say.
Yeah. Alright, so once Dumbo was introduced to American crowds as the largest elephant in the world, because you know how Barnum had to have like a thing for every one of his animals and attractions. It's like,
Yeah.
the smallest woman in the world.
Gotta be the best. Gotta be.
Yeah.
It's gotta be the somethingist in the place.
The most of the thing. So, he drew just as many fans as he had in the UK, and in only 3 weeks, Barnum made back the £2,000 he had spent to buy Jumbo. Now, I took the liberty of looking up how much money that would be today, because I'm like, £2,000? How much is that? And do you want to guess how much that would be today?
What year was it?
It was in 1882.
I want to say 1882. That would be the equivalent of 20 million today.
No, that's way high.
It would be the equivalent of 200,000 today.
Close. It's in 2020 that would be £242,000 sterling and $253,000 USD. Hey. But yeah, like, cause like think of it like $2,000 at like the turn of the century would be like a couple $100,000.
Right. Yeah, that's
which is
an insane amount of money.
That's a down payment on a mansion.
This is when penny candy could be purchased with a penny.
Yeah, you could do like 20 pieces of candy for a penny or something. Yeah, so insane in the membrane. And he made that up in 3 weeks. So in Barnum's autobiography, Life of P.T. Barnum, he writes, "All England seemed to run mad about Jumbo. Pictures of Jumbo, the life of Jumbo, a pamphlet headed Jumbo Barnum, and all sorts of Jumbo stories and poetry, Jumbo hats, Jumbo collars, Jumbo cigars, Jumbo neckties, Jumbo fans, Jumbo polkas, etc., were sold by the tens of thousands in stores and streets of London and other British cities."
I'm just imagining Mel Brooks in Spaceballs.
Yep, pretty much. So
Jumbo the flamethrower!
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like Jumbo neckties, Jumbo cigars. Yeah, so really, they're going ham with the Jumbo ham with the merchandising. So, and I was trying to think of it. I can't think of an animal that's equally popular today. Like there's Harambe, but that's really more for the meme than anything else.
Grumpy Cat.
But not even like even Dolly the cloned sheep didn't have that much of a draw, and she's a freaking clone. She's like a miracle of science. And Grumpy Cat, I mean, like we have memes again with Harambe, we have memes and stuff, but we don't really have like a widely beloved animal as much as they did. Anyway, as I said, and as we've been talking about, he was a huge hit and drew the biggest crowds in the history of Barnum's circus. He died in 1885 at the age of 25 when he was fatally struck by a train, but they stuffed his hide and brought it touring along with the circus for 2 more years.
Wow.
Yep.
I mean, I can see why they would do that, because it's like something that makes sense to somebody like P.T. Barnum.
It's economical.
It's a real P.T. Barnum thing to do.
It's a very Barnum thing to do.
What a guy. Played by Hugh Jackman.
I hate
that movie so much.
I never watched it because I didn't care about it.
I never watched it either, but like conceptually, like, oh, let's make P.T. Barnum this inspirational figure who showed people that it's okay to be different.
Let's
Forget the
make him
fact that
It's okay to be different as long as I'm making money off of it.
that's the real life story, and we're treating him like a fictional character played by huge jacked man.
Huge jacked man. Just get huge jacked man to play him, and he's sympathetic immediately. Uh-oh, look at him. He's sympathetic now. So now the Dumbo story was originally a rolla book. It's like a type of like a novelty book for kids, written by Helen Aberson and Harold Pearl in the late 30s, but there are no existing copies of the original, only the book that came out after the movie. So many think the original was never published. It was just a manuscript that Disney picked up. So, okay, here is where the actual origin story stops and the crazy starts. So,
okay, that the getting poisoning an elephant and stuffing its body wasn't the crazy.
poisoning? They didn't poison him. He got hit by a train.
No, he got. You said he was fed on beer and whiskey, and I was like, oh, they're getting him sauced up. And then you said no, they're poisoning him, and because I had completely forgotten that alcohol is not fit for animal consumption.
Oh no, that the poisoning doesn't come till later. Just sit tight. So 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 doing research for this, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was another true elephant story that I was forgetting about. There's Jumbo, which was the inspiration for the story itself, but I kept thinking that there was another important historical elephant. Then I remembered Topsy.
Oh my fucking god.
So here's where, if you really are sensitive to animal cruelty and you've been sticking it out, maybe you should stop listening, because I have a feeling this isn't really a good episode for you.
I'm so excited to hear you tell me about Topsy.
For those who don't know about her and haven't watched that Bob's Burgers episode, Topsy was a female Asian elephant who was killed by electrocution in Coney Island at the turn of the 20th century. In the 1870s and 80s, the circus that owned her, the Four Paw Circus, had a rivalry with Barnum's Circus and their elephants. Topsy grew to be what they called a, quote, bad elephant, because she had killed at least 3 men, 2 being circus workers and 1 a spectator, so the owners of the circus decided to put her down. Their plan was to market it as a spectacle and charge admission to the event, but the ASPCA prevented that from happening, so the execution was limited to staff and press. Topsy was fed poison, electrocuted, and then strangled to death in January of 1903. Now, the execution of circus animals wasn't a new thing. Plenty of elephants, tigers, and other animals that were deemed too dangerous to continue with the circus got put down rather than kept, because this was the lawless anarchy of the turn of the 20th century. So you're asking, what sets Topsy's death apart, besides the fact that she was electrocuted? The thing that sets it apart is that Topsy's death in its entirety was recorded on video. It was filmed by Thomas Edison's movie company and circulated as a part of their collection. It can still be found on YouTube today. In fact, in preparation for this recording, I forced myself to watch it, and guys, don't.
Oh my god.
Just don't. It's so awful. Edison's connection to Topsy has sparked theories that he had electrocuted her as a stunt for his War of the Currents against Nikola Tesla. But since he wasn't actually at the event and the execution happened a decade after the feud ended, that doesn't seem to be the case, no matter how much Louise Belcher from Bob's Burgers would like to think it is the case. So, the reason why I bring all this up is because I found a paper by William L. Benson, a semiotics scholar, where in several parts he identifies multiple elements in Walt Disney's Dumbo that could be references to Topsy and her execution. The paper is called Walt Disney's Dumbo, A Myth of Modernity, and it's so awesome. I could probably spend this entire episode just going through all the different semiotic connections he makes about this movie. But for now, let's focus. Though, actually, let me explain what semiotics means. Can I
I was
explain?
just gonna say, like, pretend that I'm an idiot and don't know what semiotics means.
So semiotics is symbolism, really. It's like
Oh.
whenever it was introduced to me whenever I did like translation studies, where you have your linguistic translation and then you have your semiotic translation. Like you can translate one thing from like one language to another as like a literal translation, what it means like linguistically in each language, but then there's also semiotic, which means like not only what the word is but the connotations behind it. Like um
There
you
was.
what,
Oh,
sorry,
sorry.
no, what were you gonna say?
Like when I said earlier, absolutely bicycles, as one of my coworkers would say. My coworker told me that because that's what they say in some other country. I can't remember. Instead of like that's crazy, they say that's absolutely bicycles. And if you but they say it translated in different language. So if you literally translated that, you would be like, what does that mean? Absolutely bicycles. You would need to translate it semiotically to understand they were saying something was totally crazy.
Yes, exactly. So idioms are a particularly fun example of ways that semiotics are super important to translation, because you can translate idioms and sayings like linguistically and literally from one language to the other, but if you don't sufficiently translate the meaning and like switch around the words, then, or even use, I mean, an entirely new phrase, then you can run into a lot of mistakes. And there's so many examples. Like the first translation of Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank is a great example, because the first translation was done by her, like a family, I think it was like an aunt or a family friend, and she was German, and so she took out all of like the negative German like things when she translated it into German. Um, and she also like was really old, and Anne obviously was really young, and so she would like translate these idioms in Dutch into German, but like the wrong way, because she wasn't a young person, so she didn't understand what the sayings were meant to be. Anyway, yes, that's semiotics, and the absolute bicycles. That's a great example because it doesn't have a literal translation. You have to use semiotics, which is why, by the way, freaking appreciate your translators, everyone. And they are doing some incredible work. And so don't just call attention to them when they do it wrong. Like you need to appreciate all that they do for us. But yeah, so semiotics and semiotic scholars um, analyze these sort of symbolic elements in movies and in media, or really in anything, literature, whatever.
No, yeah. I I think I understand semiotics now. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a cool word, and it's like a fancy word, and it's like something that you always have to explain to people, but it's fun because then you can see them kind of making little connections. But yeah, that's semiotics. Um, okay, so let's come back.
Bring it on
The
back.
Bring it on back. Take me home, country toads. So the first potential reference of Topsy in the movie is when Dumbo's mom freaks out at that little kid and goes on a rampage because one of Topsy's victims was a spectator who got drunk and wandered into her enclosure to tease her and hurt her for fun. The
Wow,
other,
you could just do anything at the turn of the century, huh?
you could just do anything, as long as it's to animals, women, or people of color. So the other two references are both in the Pink Elephants on Parade segment. Benson suggests that the elephant's glowing neon appearance is a nod to Topsy being electrocuted. Additionally, there is a part in the song where the elephants are seen to have crackling bolts of electricity coming from their bodies, which, again, is a nod to Topsy's demise.
No shit.
Yeah.
I always thought that was just like random nightmare images.
Nope. I didn't even have the mental capacity or the time to analyze everything in Pink Elephants on Parade. So I was so glad to stumble on this guy's paper, because while it may not be, concrete, there definitely is evidence to suggest that his connections are actually accurate. So, would you like me to talk briefly? I just have some points about the Pink Elephants on Parade.
I would love to hear about the Pink Elephants on Parade.
First of all, a fun fact that I didn't know, maybe you knew, I don't know. Pink elephants, or seeing pink elephants, is a euphemism for having a drunken hallucination. The most popular early use was in a Jack London novel where an alcoholic character sees blue mice and pink elephants, but the euphemism exists elsewhere and was in use earlier than that novel. Pink elephants were apparently the drunken hallucination animal of choice, so that's where Dumbo got it. Isn't that crazy? Because, literally, he gets drunk and sees pink elephants. It's because he's having a drunken
about
hallucination.
Elephants. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's that's a euphemism for having a drunken hallucination. And so then you have electrocution similar to Topsy's death. Electricity then strikes one of them and they explode. Another elephant gets hit by a train, which is how real life Dumbo died. Another
elephant is a train.
Yeah, another elephant is a train and then hits the other train. Elephant train.
Trained elephant.
Trained elephant. They're seen transforming into machines, maybe to symbolize how humans have stopped relying on animals for transportation and labor and are replacing them with machines. And now that I think about it, though, it could also be Dumbo processing the traumatic incident of seeing the elephant pyramid dismantle the entire circus tent in terrifying and destructive fashion. So, let's move on. I have 2 crackpot theories this episode, and I'm excited.
I'm so excited. But I'm also excited to share with you how I put down the story.
Do it.
I'm going to tell you the story of Dumbo, Abby.
What's the story, Morning Glory?
Well, we know what the story is with the history, but the story as it was interpreted is something.
Something.
Our story begins with narration about the greatest delivery men of all time, storks. In case you didn't know, boys and girls, babies are delivered by storks. Airdropped set to the most threatening song about storks of all time ever. Thinly veiled implications of enforced motherhood aside, everybody in this Florida circus is getting their adorable little baby, except for Miss Jumbo the elephant, it seems. Day breaks and the circus loads up the train and breaks into my favorite song in the whole movie. It's not the best song, but it's my favorite. It's a song about the train that plays whenever the train is moving, and I am always bobbing and grooving to the tune. It's so underrated.
Also, it's so messed up that the train is like a cute character when Jumbo, like real life Jumbo, was hit and killed by a train.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that. Oh,
yeah.
Wow. There's whole new ways to interpret this now.
Yep. You're welcome.
All right, so let's cut away from the train, and we gonna see the stork who's late. This messy-haired, little outfit-wearing, lanky dude who visually and personality-wise fits right into Tumblr's Onceler niche. Hunts down...
No!
Oh, you didn't notice that with the messy hair and the hat?
The mop of hair.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, if Tumblr gets a hold of this stork, it's all over.
Gosh, they already love the thin ones. This freaking literally has stork legs.
They're gonna shuffle him right in with Bill Cipher and who is it? Papyrus the Skellington?
And Honest John.
No, it's Sans. Oh yeah, and Honest
Sans.
John and Sans.
Well, he's too benevolent for that. He's more of a Papyrus.
Oh, they're gonna hear that stork song and they're gonna be like, he's got a dark side.
Oh no!
And there's gonna be so many
out
like
the flower crowns, my friend.
There's gonna be so many gritty storks who are like chasing people down, like, let me see, I've got a baby for you.
He's voiced by Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh wasn't Winnie the Pooh yet.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Onceler Stork aside, he's delivering a fresh baby directly to Mrs. Jumbo.
We are just defecating on Walt Disney's grave, and I enjoy it immensely.
I mean,
Okay,
we're
continue.
defecating on his legacy.
Yeah, that's
I wouldn't
true.
defecate on his grave. He's too complex for me to consider defecating. Anyway, the Onceler Stork delivers a fresh
Oh,
baby directly to Mrs. Jumbo, assisted by some prissy and obnoxious elephants who fawn over the new Jumbo Jr. That's right,
the
Jumbo Jr.
the
That is the name.
Ella.
Stop! Oh my god!
Hey, in England, it's not as bad.
I mean, in England, you can't say fanny pack. You can't go by what England says. They're terrible with
Well,
words.
I don't want to say fanny pack.
It's going to be on YouTube, innit?
Okay.
Tuesday.
Tuesday. I ain't
Can
bothered.
I finish talking about the birth of Dumbo?
I ain't bothered. Go on.
Ugh, you are bothering me.
Yeah.
So, Jumbo Jr., the name of the elephant who gets delivered, at least until his big floppy ears get exposed. Not even a minute after, literally less than a minute after he's unwrapped, I counted. He's getting bullied by those prissy and obnoxious elephants. Nevertheless, his mom protects and loves him. Meanwhile, Disney sneaks in a twofer with the little engine that could. I'm still bobbing and grooving to that tune. Still bobbing and grooving to that Casey Jr.'s out of pop-ba-doo, zee-ba-dee-ba-doo, rap-ba-da-da-da. As the train settles into town, in the dark, in the rain, we're treated to the scene that kind of took me by surprise, because I've never once heard anybody talk about it. And
Oh, yes.
the song that kind of took me by surprise, because I've never once heard anyone talk about it.
Yup.
A group of faceless, dark-skinned characters whom we will never see again pile out and, with the help of the elephants and camels and various other beasts of burden, begin to put up the tent. And they sing one of the diegetic songs in this movie. There's that word again, diegetic. Because they're actually singing it while they're working. They sing a song about how they're happy and cheerful and they can't read or write and how they slave away and blow all their money, and it is not a good look, I tell you what.
More people need to talk about the Roustabout song, alright?
More people need to talk about how they don't like the Roustabout song, and more people need to talk about how the Roustabout scene doesn't even need to be in the movie.
Nope.
Like, you
not
could
even
remove
at all.
that and not lose any of the narrative.
Because during the song, basically you have these circus animals working side by side with the Roustabouts, setting up the circus, and there's sometimes even cutting from the Roustabouts doing a task to the elephants doing that same task, which
You
draws
saying they're juxtaposing their labor with that of beasts of burden?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clear, uncomfortable comparison. Like,
I hate it.
oh my gosh. I hate it. Because I've never seen Dumbo before. And then I watched that and I'm like, oh, no, don't do that. Oh, don't cut to Dumbo being cute. That's not going to help anything.
But hey, Abby.
What?
Don't worry about it, because we're going to have a big parade.
Hey, don't worry about it.
Big parade. Ha.
Hey, don't worry about it. Look at Dumbo with his tiny Dumbo-sized hammer. Where did he even get that thing? We don't know.
Don't
It's
worry
cute,
about
though.
the hammer. Jumbo Jr. is gonna slip and fall into a mud. Oh, so funny. Haha. Just ignore that overt racism. Now Jumbo Jr.'s getting a bath. It's so cute. Aww. Now Jumbo Jr. is getting mocked and bullied for his physical appearance, and his mother is getting punished for defending him and disciplining those who would assault her child. Uh-oh. Her eyes turn red with fury as she is constantly assaulted and subdued for her perfectly rational reaction to there being absolutely no barrier to protect her and her precious literal infant. Haha! The ringmaster got knocked into the water. Classic. So, after her little outburst, she's stuck in solitary confinement, separated from her child, with her so-called friends talking shit about her and her kid. From here on out, Jumbo Jr. has no one left to call him by his name, no one to protect him from rejection from the other cruel members of his community, and he's just Dumbo to everyone, even to his new friend, Timothy Q. Mouse. What's the Q stand for? Listen,
don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. He's his friend who stands up for him and gets him his big break at as the star of the show. The top of the pyramid of elephants. Sorry, I need to re-say that.
Elements. No, every time you say Timothy Q. Mouse, I always think you're going to say Timothy T. Turfbanks. Every single time. Without fail. Every time. I don't know
They're
why.
cousins.
It's been it's been so long since I've listened to that episode, but I still think Timothy T. Turbanks? Esquire?
Oh, so he's gonna get him
Man.
the star of the show. He's gonna get him on the top of the pyramid of elephants. How does he get him this job? Obviously by whispering the word climax an awful lot to the sleeping ringmaster and hypnotizing him into thinking it was his idea. I
Oh,
wanted to learn
man.
more about this, so I typed mouse sleep hypnosis climax into my search bar, and I discovered that I hate the internet.
Stop. I discovered a new fetish.
I discovered that I hate it. I hate it so much.
Oh,
So
man.
there's a few things wrong with this plan and act. First, you can't stack elephants in a pyramid. They're going to crush each other. Bottom line. Second, they don't even get into a pyramid configuration. They form a vague stack of elephants balanced on a ball as they insult each other constantly. They're terrible. Third, they clearly never practice this, not even once, because they don't realize that he's going to trip on his ears. Fourth, they don't do anything to help Dumbo with his stage fright other than his good friend Timmy jabbing him with a needle to shock him out. Because, this moment is so much more important than the physical or psychological well-being of a baby. So naturally, they all come crashing down in what is somehow both the best animated scene and the worst animated scene in the whole movie. It's like somebody was drunk while animating this and forgot what a character model was. Fred. The tent is torn down, and we get a sad version of Casey Jr., and I'm still bobbing and grooving to it. It goes so slow and so sad, and I'm still there like, bob and grooving to my favorite tune. It's in a minor key, which I can't do because I don't know anything about music. Anyways, the elephants are gossiping about Dumbo and how he has been made into a clown for his transgressions. This is so shameful a position that the elephants, who have been treating him like shit the entire time, all agree that he is no longer considered an elephant. His manager, TQM, because I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to make you remembered about Timothy. T. Turfbanks, tries to look on the bright side as Dumbo, who's lost his mother, his name, his culture, and his dignity, all before the tender age of 1 whole month, looks vaguely unhappy.
1 whole week, really.
So to cheer him up, Timmy takes Dumbo to visit his mother in jail, where she sings him one of the most heartbreakingly beautiful and most underrated Disney songs of all time. This right here is the best song in the whole movie. And Tim looks around at all the other animals who get to hang out with their mamas and looks back to baby mine Jumbo Jr., watching him get rocked by his mama through one of the bars of her prison cell, shedding a single tear. But hey, here's the clowns again! Oh, they're talking about how funny it'll be to drop Dumbo from 1,000 feet. Oh, they're so proud of their fantastic comedy genius. They sing themselves a little song about hitting the big boss up for a raise. Whoa, ha ha ha! Infant abuse and exploitation. Da, 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 da. Oh, and they knock a little bit of the bubbly into Dumbo's water trough by accident. Or maybe it's just a random water trough. Whatever. Like in the circus, all water is drinking water, and the existence of pink lemonade proves this. Anyways,
It's true.
as Tim is telling Dumbo to cheer up and not cry, he decides to have him get a little sip of water to cure his hiccups. This would be an awful ironic time for me to get hiccups in real life.
Yeah.
So Tim and Dumbo accidentally get so drunk that they start seeing, and I shit you not, nightmare visions of dead-eyed mutant elephants. This was Disney's biggest hit since Snow White. What the? It's actually quite beautiful.
It gets wacky.
It gets quite beautiful at times. Probably the best and most imaginatively animated scene in the whole movie. It's like a Lost Fantasia skit in a way, but it's also a big bruh moment, complete with seizure warning.
It's a waking nightmare, is what it is.
Mm-hmm. And when they wake up from that nightmare, ooh boy. You remember that song that I said wasn't a very good look?
Nope.
Huh?
I'm just kidding. Yes, I do.
I was gonna say, get ready for not a very good look part 2. a murder of crows with extravagantly exuberant personalities that may be stereotypes, but may be
Maybe.
based on actual people, gather
We
around a
don't know.
strange sight. They are then joined by their leader crow, whose name was changed in the mid 50s because it's so bad, who is the most extravagant personality, who is a stereotype and is not at all based on a real actual person. These five, somehow worse than Strombolis, gather around to see the elephant stuck in a tree, while razzing on Dumbo, because who doesn't in this movie, I guess. They make the suggestion that he got into the tree by flying. To which Timmy says, well, shit, that's the only logical explanation. They spend a little more time making fun of him and Timmy in a jaunty little tune before Timmy reads them the riot act. He goes off so fucking hard that these crows become sympathetic and not only teach Dumbo how to use his ears to fly, but symbolically accept him into their murder as he flies with them and perches with them. Back at the circus, Dumbo is all set and ready, and when it comes time for him to be knocked off a 1,000-foot drop, instead of tumbling to his death in an unsafe stunt, he soars over the crowd, bombardiers the clowns, knocks the ringmaster into a water bucket, just like his mom did, and blasts peanuts at the elephants who mocked and exiled him. From there on out, he's a celeb, and we see in various newspapers that he's got planes modeled after him, and he's got a Hollywood contract. And in the final scene, everybody loves him. He's got his own private car with his mother waiting for him there. Flying with his friends the crows, he lands in her arms, and we watch them choo-choo off into the sunset.
Yay! There's like a little car sound.
Yeah.
On your audio, like.
That's amazing. I'm
That's...
so glad to know that the car sounds from the road that I moved rooms to specifically avoid are coming through.
Well, no, just that one that like augments the choo-chooing into the sunset.
That's good. That's good, man.
Also, I love how as soon as the world knows Dumbo can fly, they immediately design bomber planes after him.
Like, oh man, we've gotta beat the Hun back into Germany.
Dumb bombers. Yay,
dumb bombers.
Yay, war crimes.
So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on with the production of this. But there's also some interesting stuff going on not in the production of Dumbo. Are you ready to finally, once and for all, learn a little bit about the Walt Disney Studios animators strike?
Sure.
All right. February 1941. Uncle Walt holds two large meetings in order to address the growing unrest and rumblings of a union. It is important to remember in this scenario these three factors. 1. Walt Disney loves America more than he loves anything else in the world. 2. As genius as he is in the creativity and storytelling department, politically speaking, he's a, bluntly put, a big, dumb, gullible moron.
Uh-oh.
3. It's like the 40s, man. And in
it's
the
like
40s...
the 40s, man.
Yeah, and in the 40s, America hates communism. They hate communism so much because it represents a threat to the American way of life. Well, that's what the rich people who want to keep all their money tell the poor people who don't know any better. I know it's more complicated than that. We're not a political podcast. But in general, rich Americans who want to stay rich have an invested interest in keeping all their money and demonizing communism. And you know
Yay!
You know who's super rich and wants to stay super rich?
Who?
Not Walt Disney. Walt Disney throws his money down the drain like it's nothing. The bonuses he gave right after Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs succeeded were a year's worth of wages for each and every employee in the company. The knee-jerk reaction to finding out the Sorcerer's Apprentice was too expensive to make its money back was to throw more money at it for the sake of art. Walt Disney has no great natural hate for communism, nor does he have a great desire to keep his money. The man with the most vested interest in keeping Walt Disney's money is someone whose name I haven't said yet, but he's been in the background the whole time, tugging at strings and telling Walt exactly what to do. His friend and lawyer to the Disney company and personal lawyer to Walt and Roy Disney, Mr. Gunther Lessig.
Gunther Lessing?
Gunther Lessig, or Gunther Lessig. There's an N in there or there isn't. Either way, he is the one who tells Walt Disney that the unionizing animators are not great lovers of America like he is. They're filthy and evil, greedy communists who want to destroy his company and his way of life. And as we all know, Walt is a big dumb idiot in politics.
Big oof. Big oof, man.
Big oofs in the chat. So,
big juicy oof.
In February 1941, when old Uncle Walt gives those two meetings, he addresses the financial crisis that the company is unavoidable. He announces some major layoffs in order to stay afloat and tells the union-minded folk in the company, instead of grumbling and growling, do something about it. They do. They strike. On May 28th, 1941, following the arrest and firing of Art Babbitt. He was arrested because Gunther Lessig, right before Art Babbitt was supposed to go to a union speech, union rally, Gunther Lessig told the police department that he had a gun.
What? What
Also,
a freaking word that I can't say right now.
Just as a redaction from the last episode, I was wrong. Art Babbitt was not the head of the Federation of Screen Cartoonists. That was the other guy I mentioned, Bill Littlejohn.
Oh, Bill Medium-Sized John.
Bill Ordinary John.
Okay.
But yeah, Art Babbitt would eventually go on to become the head of the union that forms here.
Oh,
Also,
the actual real union.
The real union, not the fake fantasy union created by Walt Disney at the suggestion of Gunther Lessig.
Uh-huh. So he's like the evil guy backing
He's
the
the Darth Sidious.
Yeah, sure.
You haven't seen Star Wars. Oh my god.
I'm sorry. Just do you need a moment to
No, I
quell
don't.
your immense disgust for me and mine?
I don't have disgust. I'm so upset at myself for not remembering.
It's okay.
I need to remember.
You've blocked it out. It's fine.
Also, quick aside on this financial crisis I mentioned.
Yeah.
Here's a little quick breakdown of budgets versus box office sales for the first 4 movies of the Disney Company. Snow White cost $1.49 million to make and made $7.8 million at the box office.
Whew. And how are they going under?
Well, like I said, Walt throws money at everything and everyone. And all the top animators have this big, expensive lifestyle that they can live because they're paid so much. And he just built a new studio in Burbank, California. And also, Pinocchio cost $2.28 million. So that's where a lot of the money went. But do you know how much money Pinocchio made?
How much money?
$1.9 million.
Ooh, that hurts.
That's significantly less than Snow White made.
Yeah.
Fantasia cost $2.28 million and made back an estimated $1.3 million.
Whew. Okay, yeah, that makes sense now.
So think about everything you saw in Dumbo and compare it to the quality of the last 4 films. Not 4, 3.
Definitely better than Snow White.
Snow White had a budget in the million. Dumbo only cost $950,000 to make.
Wow.
And it made back $1.3 million. More than enough, for the movie, but still not enough for the deep poopta they're in.
Poopta. Yeah.
So the strike lasts for 4 months and doesn't completely end until September 21st, when the Bank of America, the financial backers to the studio, and his own brother, Roy Disney, convince him to recognize the Screen Cartoonist Guild. at no point did the studio stop actively working on Dumbo. This whole thing happened during its production, and the movie still came out in October.
Wow.
So that's a little bit of animation, super abbreviated, on the Disney animators strike.
We You said a little bit of animation on the animator strike.
A little bit of Monica in my life, a
Yeah.
little bit of Monica by my side.
I used to always sing that. I loved that song, Mambo Number 5, because it was a big deal in my family because I was the youngest and I was Abigail Rose, last name, number 5, and so I'd always sing Mambo Number 5, and
You are
that
so
was
adorable.
like my song, and I would always sign my name, like I would spell my whole name out and then put number 5 at the end.
You are
People
literally the cutest person I've ever met.
people probably thought I was mental, like.
It is insane to do, but it's also adorable.
Yeah, but I mean, I was a kid. I didn't do it when I was like, pass my driver's test, right? Write my name and number 5.
It's not on your license.
That's when I was like a kid, but yeah.
That would make you like a Speed Racer character.
Yeah, which I am unfortunately not.
We should all be so lucky as to live in Speed Racer, as directed by the Wachowski sisters.
Oh, that wasn't a yawn. That was a noise of immense engagement and excitement to be alive.
Are you excited to hear, then, about 5 animators whose lives were changed by the strike?
Sure.
All right. Now, it's no secret that anybody who was pro-union was on Walt Disney's Poopta list. So, the first 3...
Is that a word, poopta? Is that a thing, or is it the thing that you just, made up?
It's a word now. I've heard it used before, and I'll hear it used again.
Poopta, okay.
So, the first 3 are people who were let go from the company. So, let's talk about 5 animators whose lives were changed by the strike. First, let's talk about, just to wrap him up, Art Babbitt.
Okay.
Art Babbitt would be fired shortly before the strike began. He would continue to protest, even nearly getting into a fistfight in broad daylight with old Uncle Walt himself.
Oh, that would have been incredible. Why can't they film that instead of, elephant deaths?
Right?
I'd rather see that.
I mean, people saw it. It happened.
Old-timey fisticuffs.
It didn't actually happen, but it was about to happen. He would legally be reinstated to his job, then fired illegally again, suing in a case that would lead all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States to get his job back, only to leave on his own terms.
This is messy bitches. It's like an episode of Real Housewives.
He would go on to serve in World War II in the Pacific, meet his second wife, Diana Gottliebova, a survivor of Auschwitz who was personally chosen by Mengele, the Mengele, to do watercolor portraits of various other prisoners for his studies. Damn. She agreed to do this if he let her mother live. It is chilling, her story.
Whoa. Wow.
They would be married until the 60s. And I mention her because it's worth mentioning that all the women in Art Babbitt's life continue to be better and more interesting than he ever was.
Yes. He's one of those guys, that just attracts the awesome women who then realize, oh, maybe he's not the best.
So one last note about Art Babbitt before I forget about him forever.
Okay.
The question may arise, did the positive work of Art Babbitt outweigh his negative impact on women early in his career? Keep in mind that he innovated animation for the whole industry and unionized Disney. To that question, and that keep in mind, I say, in the late 80s, a documentary about his career animating art, you see him fondly recalling what he describes as his romance with Marge Belcher.
Oh,
so, no. The answer to that question is no.
Son of a bitch. Nope.
He's bad.
Nope. Sorry.
He's a bad man.
Sorry, everyone, if that seems harsh, but no. If he were to say, yeah, I realize now that was horrible and I sincerely apologize, maybe we can talk. But the fact that he fondly looks back on his, as he says, romance with a 15-year-old girl, nope. Sorry, Art.
Abby, you're not being very fair. She was a 14-year-old girl. It's
Oh,
a whole year worse.
excuse me very much. It's a whole year worse, which, yeah,
It's a whole puberty of
it's
difference.
a whole puberty of difference that she had to experience courting, being preyed upon by a 26-year-old.
So let's move away from Art Babbitt and never talk about him again.
I'm amenable. I'm anemone to that decision.
Anemone? An enemy, an enemy, an enemy's anatomy, a Nemo and another me.
Yep.
Bill Littlejohn.
Moving on.
After being let go from the company, his future endeavors would really begin to ramp up with a short animated film called The Hole, featuring jazz singer Dizzy Gillespie and veteran actor George Matthews as construction workers having a totally improvised on the job conversation, which would win the 1962 Academy Award for Short Animated Feature. However,
Aww.
you might know him better for being one of the head animators in virtually every single classic Charlie Brown film.
Aw, cool.
Walt Kelly. He was also fired for being pro union. Upon his
Mm-mm.
return to his hometown in Connecticut, he would become one of the most prolific cartoonists for the New Yorker of his time. He would also go on to create a newspaper comic that was highly popular in the 50s, all the way, I believe, into the early 80s, called Pogo, which takes a lot of inspiration from the traditional Disney style and lent a lot of inspiration to modern newspaper comic artists.
Oh.
Phil Eastman was also let go
Why do I
for
know that name? I know that name.
once he started working with other companies, he would come to know Chuck Jones, a well regarded animator in Looney Tunes cartoons, basically responsible for everything with a southern accent. And he would introduce him to another personal friend by the name of Ted Geisel, resulting in a lot of Dr. Seuss cartoons between the two. For his troubles, he would get a big break from Geisel, who would help him publish his books, Go Dog Go, The Best Nest, and Are You My Mother, under the name P.D. Eastman.
Wow. Wow.
And the last life touched by the strike is kind of a double. It's a twofer
Okay.
because I'm going to talk about Ward Kimball. Ward Kimball is the animator that I should have been talking about. He was the middle of the road, do your job, do good, innovate animation guy. He worked at the studio and was the leader of a jazz band, the Firehouse 5 Plus 2, that consisted of fellow animators. He was also the first person to make official Disney art of Mickey Mouse with eyes with pupils, as opposed to the original pie eyes. And during the strike, he didn't. He crossed the picket line and kept working. Later on, he would be quoted as saying that he was a liberal and believed in the strike, but didn't believe he should be doing it. In
Huh.
doing so, he kept his job and stayed in Uncle Walt's good graces as one of the last people that Walt Disney felt that he could trust in the studio. Walt Disney was touched by the strike in the sense that he no longer felt like he could trust his animators. He felt like they would rebel against him for something as petty as money or a name in the credits. Just little petty things. But he would go on to distance himself from the company. He would only give his creative input when needed. And he would maintain a strong friendship with Ward Kimball, who loves trains. And he infected Walt Disney with a love of trains, thanks to their strong trust and friendship. And that's a secret tool that will help us out later.
A secret mouse tool that will help us out later.
Walt Disney's love of trains is a secret mouse tool that we're going to leave and let fester for a little while.
I'm racking my brain trying to think of what other trains we see.
Oh, it's not necessarily trains in animation. Don't worry about it. We'll get to it when we get. So instead, we're going to talk about someone who did the music for the movie, Mr. Hall Johnson.
Yay!
Hall Johnson,
He's a great.
graduate of several music schools, including the Hahn School, the Knox Institute, the University of Pennsylvania, and the New York Institute of Art, was awarded an honorary degree from the Philadelphia Musical Academy. 1925, he formed the Hall Johnson Choir, one of the most prolific all-black choirs of the day. The group even performed for a couple Disney films, including Snow White, and you guessed it, Song of the South. But that's not till later. He also did the choir music in Dumbo. In fact, he's the voice of the crow in the gray hat named Preacher Crow. Members of his choir also voiced the crows named Fats, Glasses, and Straw Hat, and I'll let you figure out which of those.
Oh, man.
It was him and his choir that actually wrote and performed the song When I See an Elephant Fly for the film. Allegedly, according to one of my sources, Hall named the lead character, Jim Crow, and let him be voiced by a white man, Cliff Edwards, as a comedic subversion. And it may have been a very successful one in 1941. But that's the problem with 1941. Eventually, it's going to be 2020. Society progresses, original authorial intent is lost, and things that, for the benefit of the doubt, may have been fine to look at are not so great in retrospect.
Yeah.
The Crows, however, have been featured in media as recently as The House of Mouse, where that crow was renamed to Dandy Crow and was voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson, who voices a bit more of Disney stuff. Gantu in Lilo and Stitch, Ian the Gator from The Princess and the Frog, Goro from Mortal Kombat, heartfelt roles.
He has that voice.
Yeah, he does a lot of animals.
Yeah.
Society hasn't progressed quite as much as we thought, but
that's the thing with there's like that paper that I always reference about non-human entities. It's like people of color and specifically black people being relegated to like non-human things like animals, and even movies like Princess and the Frog and Soul, where the main character is a black person,
and Brother Bear,
yeah,
and Emperor's New Groove.
Even movies like that, where this main character that starts out as a human, they get turned into an animal for like most of the movie. Anyway,
it's not a good look.
Not a good look, but
so
cool that it was meant to be a sort of a subversion, like poking fun. That's
maybe it was supposed to be a subversion.
Yeah, supposedly.
It was this one guy in this one source that I picked up. And
I love that you said one of my sources says like you have this like confidential, this anonymous tip. You have an informant on the inside.
Yeah, I'm personal friends with a jazz critic.
Yep. Yeah.
So, what did you think of Dumbo?
Oh, we're on onions now?
We're on onions.
We're doing onions? Okay. Well, all right. So it's like they took that uneasy feeling that I got from Pinocchio and then just like condensed it into an hour-long production.
Yeah.
Okay. I really liked it in the sense that there's a lot of connections and weird like subtext in it that I don't even know if it was intentional, but there's like so much packed into this. Like story-wise, the story is like a piddly little thing. It's a short. But in order to pad it out to 64 minutes, they packed like the characters and the visuals with all of this stuff that you just need to unpack, and it's really interesting unraveling all the things. Like even it like in like the crows and in like the roustabouts and like the songs and the visuals of it, and especially in Pink Elephants on Parade, where you can go and even frame by frame, you can get interesting things there. So it's almost like, even though the writers and the general production wasn't really sure how to make it a full-length production, it's like the animators spent that time putting in all of the little interesting shout-outs and all the interesting little subtextual tidbits that they were thinking about at the time. And so that was really interesting for me to look at. I do want to say that this whole plot is kind of messed up. I don't like the plot of like, you get born and you're all hee-hawed. That's the word that my niece uses whenever things are like messed up. It's like they're going all hee-hawed.
I love your family. They're so adorable.
Yeah, they're great. But so you get born and you're all hee-hawed and people laugh at you. But then, oh wait, you can be useful to them in some way. So now they have to accept you, and everyone's happy in the end. Like, but wait, no, that's not how it works. And especially like that song, the Baby Don't Cry or whatever it's called, where it's
Baby
like,
Mine.
yeah, it's so messed up because like
Nominated, by the way, for an Oscar.
Do not give that an Oscar. I mean, it's a nice song and all, but like the actual visuals, I mean, they're showing all these other animals with their babies, and it's basically sending the message that, like, hey, look at all these other babies that get to stay with their parents because they're normal looking and didn't come out so goofy that their mom got thrown in circus jail. Like, no wonder Dumbo turns to drinking.
Jesus, that... To be fair, you take the song completely divorced from its visual context, and you've got like one of the greatest lullabies I've ever heard in my life.
I don't know. It's sad though.
I don't know. It's like, baby mine, cheer up, baby mine, I love you, never to part, baby of mine. You know, it's just we I think we're poisoned because our first experience with it was watching an elephant coddle an elephant from elephant jail.
From elephant jail. Well, see, I just don't like lullabies, I think, because they just make me sad all the time. They just depress me super quickly. But yeah,
they are
like,
very downbeat songs.
Yeah. And then like, I don't know. It's hard for me to recall all of the story as a whole. Like, there's so much that we've talked about that it's hard to recall like how I first felt about it when I watched it, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. That's why I wrote mine down.
Yeah. I think it's kind of weird that like we never really even see Dumbo's motivation. He's like Snow White, where things just kind of happen to him.
His motivation is that he's a literal infant and he wants people to stop bullying him.
His motivation is baby.
He'll do anything that someone says will get people to stop bullying him.
Yeah. That's it.
He'll grab onto the first tale that says we're going to get your mama out of the clink.
Yep, pretty much. Like, what happens when he is like an adult and like he grows into his ears and he stops being able to fly? Like, what's gonna happen then?
I mean,
is he gonna get hit by a train? Are they gonna freaking...
No, stop.
What's gonna happen to him? Does he grow? Because the original Dumbo, I think Dumbo was like an adult, and he was the world's smallest elephant. I think it was definitely, it's still in that like old-timey movie kind of like Uncanny Valley weirdness. We're not into like kind of modern or more modern movies yet. Like, I consider like Aristocats a little bit more of a closer to what we would see in a movie, whereas that Dumbo is very clearly in the past.
Yeah, because we are in what is referred to as the golden age of Disney movies. It's the golden age in the sense of like, you know, the golden age of comics, where it's like, these are the originals. This is what everything is based on. Yeah. And not necessarily like in terms of quality, but you can watch like any of these 5 movies. It's only 5 movies in the golden age. You can watch any of those 5 and say with confidence that influenced a future Disney movie. Mostly you're
Yeah.
looking at Fantasia when you say that. You mostly point
I
at
know.
Fantasia.
I was just gonna say, yeah,
It's
Fantasia.
coming back to Fantasia always.
All roads lead to Fantasia.
All my roads lead to Fantasia. Love that.
Yep. Love that Fantasia.
But the next stage is, of course, the wartime age, also known as the package feature age. Basically, what I'm saying is, like, the Silver Age is when we start seeing the polished films that are based on what we see in the Golden Age. Observation, opinion, crackpot theory. Observation.
Gimme the skinny.
All right, I don't know if you know this, Abby.
I
I don't
don't know a
know.
lot of things.
But the Stork was played by Sterling Holloway.
Wow.
Wow. When you mentioned that, you mentioned a lot of stuff that I had to tell you, and I was like, oh no, she knows everything already.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yep.
let's just breeze through this. The Stork was played by Sterling Holloway. This was his first ever role for Disney in film or short. He would go on to be the voice of the Cheshire Cat, Kaa the Snake, Roquefort the Mouse in the Aristocats, and Winnie the Pooh. And he reprises this exact role in a short called Lambert the Lion. Lambert the Sheepish
Oh.
Lion.
Oh, Lambert the Sheepish Lion. That's cute.
Yeah. The stork, same stork, accidentally delivers a lion to a flock of lambs and is raised.
Oh, he's literally sheepish. Ha.
Mm-hmm.
Ha. Ha. That's funny.
In my observation page, I have also written down birds with no further context. So I noticed birds. I think I was going to say that birds are the only ones that wear clothes, and then I remembered the
Oliphants.
Timmy the mouse wears clothes.
Oh, and the Oliphants wear hats, and the crows wear clothing.
Yes, but crows are birds.
Oh yeah. So tired and hungry.
All right, here's my opinion on Dumbo.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to previous films, this one feels lazy to me. The slashed budget shows in the reduced runtime, the lower quality animation, and this is a small gripe, but it feels like there was either Foley sound missing or less Foley was done. Foley is sound effects.
Yeah.
Animation isn't as ambitious as Pinocchio or Fantasia. The characters aren't as likable as Snow White or Pinocchio, and it honestly has aged worse than Milk on all fronts. The only saving graces are Casey Jr., Baby of Mine, and the Pink Elephants, which I have put down a little note, evil. So, it's an evil saving grace, the Pink Elephants. Maybe the clowns. I'm not just putting this one last, I'm dropping it dead last. To say that I'm putting it into the 60th place that I have on my list would be a disservice to ever having made this list. So I'm not doing that. But I am going to put it in 10th place.
10th place out of 4.
10th place out of 4. And it's going to stay there unless we're in for some real reekers in the wartime package film era. Okay. I recommend this film be watched while extremely drunk or high at a party. I want to get my opinion out here real quick. Making a live action remake of an animated film is the stupidest thing you could ever do, because you're basically saying, how about we limit ourselves and limit our imagination as we try to cash in on the nostalgia of something this great, and it never turns out any better. It always usually turns out like worse. And best case scenario, you only do something like interestingly different. As was the case with 101 Dalmatians, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But that all said, like, my distaste for live action adaptations of animated films, I honestly, truly, and genuinely think that if you have a choice between watching Dumbo, the animated film, and Dumbo, the Tim Burton live action remake, just bite the bullet and watch that, because at least you get to see Tim Burton direct Batman and the Penguin again. At least you get to see him with some familiar faces again.
Mm-hmm.
I
I can see that because I think don't they do more like world building and more building around actual Dumbo?
They do. They completely changed the story because Dumbo is just like a prop for the human characters, which is so stupid in anything else. But like these human characters have like a story and they have something going on with them. And within the first like half hour, Dumbo flies. And there's no
Oh.
roustabouts, there's no crows, there's nothing to worry about that. There's the encroaching commodification of joy being addressed. The exact thing that Disney I accuse them of doing. Like when I refer to Disney in my free time, I refer to the Disney Empire of Joy, how they will buy anything that sparks joy in anyone and they will just run it into the ground as much as they can. Um, cough cough solo, cough cough Rogue One, cough cough doing absolutely nothing with the Muppets,
Deep
cough cough
cuts.
oversaturating the market with Marvel movies that are basically procedurally generated to feel similar but be different enough that they're interesting enough that you go see one every 6 months. I just have so many opinions about how the way that Disney is doing capitalism to joy. And
Yeah.
but like I I can't well I can. I can complain as much and as loud and as long as I want.
Yeah, man.
Uh
This is the place to do it.
but I have to take it and I have to give it with a grain of salt because I'm in the theater watching those Marvel movies. I paid for a ticket to see Dumbo. I genuinely got excited when Dumbo flew and Dumbo got his mother out of the circus. And yeah, there's a whole jailbreak subplot where Dumbo busts his mom out of the circus.
Wow.
But you know the whole subplot that we didn't talk about the magic feather and how
Yeah.
Dumbo thinks he needs it to fly, but then he
Yeah.
decides that he can fly on his own without it?
Yeah.
Gutted. He
Oh.
needs the feather to fly.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, he thinks he
And
needs.
it's a white feather. They whitewashed the feather,
They whitewashed the feather.
which is so stupid.
There isn't a single crow in the whole movie because of that.
Oh, that's so funny.
They accidentally created a world where crows don't exist.
Yeah.
And that's not the first time the Disney company has accidentally created a world where something doesn't exist. But hey, we don't talk about that right now. What we're talking about is a crackpot theory. The circus clowns who hit up the big boss for a raise are caricatures of the striking animators.
I love the adjective striking because it's like they're literally striking, like they're on strike, but it
Yeah,
also sounds like you're
yeah,
making
like
a judgment on their appearance, a positive
they're the
judgment
most
on their
handsome ones.
they're striking.
I mean,
They're
it's not my fault.
just breathtaking.
The best
Work.
looking people are
Work,
pro
bitch,
union.
work.
Like, if you're pro union, you're just a very good looking person. That's it.
The striking Chads versus the picket crossing virgins.
God. Oh.
Uh...
The virgin Fred Moore versus the Chad Bill Littlejohn.
Oh, that's so stupid. Okay, anyway,
But
the striking animators.
this isn't actually a crackpot theory. This is a theory that's been running around some other people. Plenty of people have said, like, hey, these clown caricatures are animators who went on strike, and that was, the company's way of getting back at them.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to remember that also the animators and writers that were on strike worked on this for a little while, and you know what? I think they got back at Walt by putting a caricature of him in the movie.
Mm.
A character that is ambitious, kindly but exploitative, who gets his best ideas adapting other people's ideas, who is represented by a mouse. I think that Timothy Q. Mouse is a straight up caricature of Walter Elias Disney.
But wouldn't the mouse be the guy that was backing him? And then wouldn't Walt be the ringmaster, and then what's his face be the mouse?
See, that's the thing. The ringmaster had an idea for something, right?
Uh-huh.
And then the mouse hears that idea and says, here's how I can use it to my advantage with my character and my property. Now I'm going to get him to think it was his idea.
That is
So,
very tenuous, I will tell you.
listen. Why does he strike up a friendship with Dumbo? Because he thinks he can make him a star. He sees this big character and thinks, I can make this work. I can make this famous. That's just the story of Walt Disney.
I don't support that theory. I don't accept that theory.
That's fair. It's a crackpot theory.
Two things can be vaguely similar without one being. Correlation is not causation, and I don't even know if this is correlation. So the first crackpot theory that I had is that the two main elements, the two main elephants in the Pink Elephants on Parade that we see, the two ones that we see like dancing and like doing all the stuff, they have very distinctive designs. One of them's taller with more of like a kind of a dome-shaped head, and the other one is shorter, then it has kind of like the two like humps on the head.
Mm-hmm.
My theory is that those two main elephants are Topsy and Jumbo, because the shorter elephant, it looks like Topsy, and then the other one is a little bit taller, and I'm pretty sure the taller one is the one that gets hit by the train.
Huh.
Because there's two of them and I've looked at pictures, and I saw that video of Topsy, and then I saw the like pictures and stuff of Jumbo, and Jumbo was
God, they don't have pictures of him getting hit by the train, do they?
They have pictures of him after.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, it is. And because Jumbo was seen as like the largest elephant in the world, so he would be the one that's bigger than Topsy. Anyway, so yeah, that's my first crackpot theory. And then my second one is the reason why Dumbo's ears are so long is because when Mister Stork stopped to rest on that cloud, Dumbo kept sinking down, and the stork kept having to pull him back up again. So maybe Dumbo's ears were up near the top of the bundle, and when the stork kept tugging him up like over and over again, he also had a hold on the ears and was stretching them out. And yeah, but before you say that's like not realistic or not how ears work, need I remind you that Dumbo's ears are seen, 1, being used as a swaddling blanket, 2, as a towel to poke into his ears and clean them, and 3, tied up in a knot above his head. So that's also not how ears work.
No, like I understand like the cartoon logic of it.
But yeah, so because he had to like keep pulling it back up again and pulling it back up again, so maybe that's how his ears got stretched out.
Huh. I was thinking that maybe the idea was like Dumbo is an African elephant being delivered to Asian elephants, and that's why, because they have a different ear size. But no, I like that one. I accept that crackpot theory.
Yay!
I accept
good.
both crackpot theories.
Yay! Good. I'm glad. All right, and that's all the crackpot theorizing I have.
So all that's left, I believe, is where does Dumbo fall on the list for you?
So Dumbo is number 3 on my list, right above Snow White. Snow White's still last. Dumbo is above it.
Snow White.
Yeah, sorry, Snow White. Even though Dumbo, as you said, was kind of like lazy, and it felt like it really did feel like they were padding it out. The latent effect of it, and like the weird symbolism and like the weird like things made it interesting to me, even if it wasn't meant to be compelling in that way. it was still really fun to dissect in a way that Snow White was not.
That's fair. That's fair. You got a completely different perspective on these, I just realized. Because you get to dissect them in a way that is related to the original story. So that's where your, dissection perspective comes from on Dumbo. Whereas I was looking at this purely from like a production standpoint, and from that standpoint, like that's where it disappointed me at every step of the way. Which is why I couldn't find myself quite as interested in it, and I was actually more interested in the strike than this. Um, so I think that's interesting to see how that plays into our opinions. I'd never considered that.
Yeah, it would have been higher on my list if it were like
Not
if it,
so easy.
yeah, exactly. But yeah. So yeah, and Pinocchio is still number 1 for me because it's just so fun to watch for all the wrong reasons, and for some of the right reasons, but mostly all the wrong reasons. Number 2 is Fantasia, number 3 is Dumbo, and number 4 is still Snow White.
Well, I'd say that by now, we were concerned, I believe, in the second episode that we were going to have very similar looking lists.
Yes.
But these are pretty diverged because I've got in first place Fantasia, in second place Pinocchio, for the reasons of creativity and storytelling and just visual beauty, and Snow White in third place out of respect. And out of 4 films, in 10th place, Dumbo. We'll see how long that lasts.
Okay, so, we've done our ranking and we've done our crackpot theories, and that.
All that's left is to say that the next movie is Bambi.
Oh yeah, I never said that. The next movie is Frozen.
No.
Bambi. Bambi's Frozen.
Bambi is not Frozen.
Bambi in Frozen.
Bambi in Bambi 2, Bambi's Revenge.
Bambi and Frozen in My Mom is Dead.
Starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Bambi.
That's such a good short. I love it. It's so funny.
I'm Bambi. It's hunting season.
It's a good one. Okay, anyway. Yeah, Bambi.
Bambi. We're gonna continue our trend of animals in Bambi.
In Bimbo.
Stop.
Bambi and Dumbo together makes Bimbo.
God damn it!
Abby!
So that was Dumbo.
That was dumb. Bo.
What's next on the agenda, Abby?
We watch a little film called Are You My Mommy?
By P.D. Eastman. By Peter East.
Yes. No, seriously though, we are going to be watching Bambi next.
Oh, with the deer.
Wait, dear.
That wimpy deer?
Oh dear.
Oh dear. Well, join us next time when did you say the thing last time, or did I?
I think you did the one the last time.
So do you want to do it this time?
I'll do it this time.
I'd love for you to do it.
All right. Well, we had a great time. We were sufficiently traumatized by the haunting, soulless eyes of some pink elephants. And next time we will be sharpening our scalpels for venison when we dissect the mouse.
Dissecting the Mouse would like to acknowledge the art provided on commission by Eric, Morgan, and Silas, as well as the editing done on commission by Connor, and of course the research done by Abby and Nate. Links to the business information for all involved artists are provided in the expanded credits, as well as a bibliography of relevant sources. Nate would also like to extend his personal thanks to his library co-workers. Dissecting the Mouse is intended as a review based on subjective opinion, and is not intended to be a scholarly source. Thank you for listening.
What the was that?
That was me getting possessed by a clown. That's what it was. The clown's
Don't
revenge.
get possessed by a clown! It makes you make that
man.
noise?
Yes.
God.